friendship and all that stuff, but you can't see that. That's invisible. So how tenuous is that? It's not like we've got this steel bar, this steel girder that binds us together that we'll never be able to separate. No, we've got, the only reason we're together as couples is because theoretically we love each other, we respect each other, and we're friends.
Have common goals.
Lots of things in common that we do. But if we're separated, more so than not, and if we're unkind to each other, and we don't respect each other, we don't understand each other's needs, and we're not giving everything we can mutually to help meet our needs, why are we together?
Right.
And so the people that come to see me in my law office don't want to be together anymore because none of this stuff is happening in their lives.
Right.
And it's too difficult, and they're building up resentments over unmet needs, unrecognized needs, and conflict. You know, I like to say that everybody has conflict, certainly, but it's how we resolve conflict.
Right. And
you can't keep fighting over the same issues over and over and over and over and over. A lot of people do. They never resolve it. Well, they're doomed. The more conflict you have, people say, well, you know, we fight, but we get over it quickly. Okay. But we fight a lot, but we get it quickly. Well, that's fine. Everybody has issues. But what I think is the more you fight, it's like fighting causes wounds.
Right.
And,
Certainly can.
And when wounds heal, there's usually scar tissue there. And so the more you fight, the more scar tissue builds up. Well, if you fight long enough, over enough years, sometimes that scar tissue very often is so thick that you can't penetrate it.
Right.
And then you're dead. You're just dead. And when people are in a dead relationship, who wants to be in a dead relationship? So then they come to see me. So the point is, the earlier you recognize what you're doing, your behavior, the earlier you can benefit by the growth that it takes to alter your behavior. But that's the hard part, because who wants to alter their behavior? Who wants to go through that?
Who of us wants to take ourselves on, which is probably the most difficult challenge any of us ever face.
Sure.
It's taking ourselves on.
And so people say, well, I can't change, or he'll never change. You're right. They never will. But when I say, can you grow? And when I say, can you grow, or ask, can you grow, nobody ever says, no, I can't grow. Of course you can grow. But how does growth come? It comes by recognizing areas that you need to work on and working on it. But the bottom line is most people are too busy. They don't want to.
We talked about that earlier.
They don't want to work on.
It's not a priority.
Sure. What's the most important thing in your life?
Right.
What's the most important thing in your life? That's the question. And if you're married, the answer better be your marriage. And if it's not, you're probably going to lose it. So people say, well, I've got to work. I've got to pay the bills and all that stuff. True, absolutely. But you also need to stay married, and your kids need you to stay married. And
in a loving relationship marriage.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Who wants to be in an ugly, nasty, loveless marriage? The people that come to my office, again, don't. And statistically, we know 50% of us come to a law office at some point in their relationships for divorce. It's sad, but it's true. I represent clients that are in 30 and 40-year marriages all the time, or 30, 40-year marriages all the time.
That's awful to hear that, isn't it?
It's so disappointing. It is so disappointing to me, because you think, well, gosh, if they've been together for so long, they should have figured it out by then. But what happens is there's so much scar tissue that's built up over 30 and 40 years, and universally they say, Steve, I've been miserable for 30 or 40 years.
I say that's the
and I don't want, you know,
I'm done.
The older what young people don't understand is that as you age, and we know this, Rodger,
Mm-hmm.
we all have gray hair, as we age, our thinking changes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Our priorities change.
just our, right, because the end of our life comes into focus. Whereas when we're in our 30s and 40s, we're going to live forever. We don't even think
we're
about that.
bulletproof or whatever, right?
Right. So when you're in your 50s, you start thinking retirement, and 60s, and so you better be working on a relationship early on, because you don't know what your spouse is thinking. You don't know how their thinking is going to change in 20
the
years.
one thing happens there, a lot of people all of a sudden, one of the spouses comes in and says, "I'm done," and it's a total shock to the other person. So you just nailed something. That's something we could talk more about on another program
Sure.
possibility. So we need to wrap this one up here today, Steve.
Okay.
One thing I want to make sure is that we leave with is that we get you can give your number and also the website they can go to find out more about you and about your workshop.
Sure. The website is relationshiprealityseminar.com. There's a phone number. That's all you really need to know, is just relationshiprealityseminar.com. Go on there, register your email address, and I send out little notices and dates for seminars and that kind of thing.
Super. Steve, well, thanks for coming on the program again. You are a encyclopedia of knowledge about this stuff, so it's very clear, and also you have a passion for it, which I always like to talk to people who have a passion for something and a purpose, and you clearly have got that. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you, Rodger.
And hopefully we'll be back on sometime soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes, also a very good attorney, so he does do divorce. I mean, he helps people, but definitely if you have a question concerning family law or any issue, adoption, and we're going to play, he has a neat ad. I just love it. It's a little 1-minute ad that he has at the website for Relationship Reality Seminar, and we're going to play that, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be back with me and Durkee talking video and shows. So we'll be right back.
I've heard it said that divorce is not an option, but living in agony isn't either. The good news, there's a third option. You can have the marriage you've always dreamed of. So please join us.
Reserve your seats now for the Relationship Reality Seminar. Register online at relationshiprealityseminar.com. Be prepared for transformational wisdom, knowledge, and advice presented in a fun and relaxing atmosphere that will positively impact your marriage. We'll see you there.